Welcome to the Offensive Interference Podcast. I'm Coach Gene Clemons. Thank you for joining me. Please hit the like button while you're watching and to support the show. And if you have not already, hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you never miss a Monday. We're going to be joined later by Dana Sparling. She's the Chief Operating Officer of the Women's Gridiron Foundation. But first, out of the pain and isolation felt by this pandemic and growing tension over civil unrest and inequality, women's football has been given a boost. The NAIA and the NFL announced their partnership in making collegiate women's flag football a reality. 15 schools are committed to fielding teams during this inaugural 2020-2021 school year. That's huge for women's athletics and long overdue. Florida, a state that I call home, has had a successful girls flag football for over 17 seasons. And for 17 seasons, those young ladies had no real collegiate home for their talents. Instead, they were left to compete with co-ed and intramural flag competitions. Now they have a home, and they hopefully will have more and more homes in the coming years. On July 1st, the sports world was given an inside look at women's tackle football with the 30 for 30 Born to Play, women tackle football. If there was ever a doubt about the level of commitment these athletes exhibit, that should now be put to rest. The future is now. These ladies are coming, and the byproduct of the NAIA's decision is that these women's professional football leagues have a chance to be filled in the coming years with young ladies who have been playing football since youth league. My only question is what's the holdup from the other 235 NAIA member institutions? There's never been a better time than right now to get on the right side of history. I'm joined today by a football lifer and a good friend of mine, Carey McCray, defensive coordinator at Leonard High School in Palm Beach County, Florida. He's also the head girls flag football coach. Coach McCray, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you for having me, man. Really appreciate it. I miss being on the sidelines with you, though. Can't lie.
Absolutely. And I miss you as well, man. I know that you've been somebody in the trenches for girls flag football for a long time. I believe 8 years you've been a head football coach and involved with girls flag football. Just talk about initially what drew you to wanting to be involved with the girls game.
Not even gonna lie to you. Long time ago when I was living back in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm driving by a park and I see women in helmets and shoulder pads playing football. And I initially thought this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I got out of my car, walked down on that field and started hearing those pads clacking. Said, oh, they out here playing football.
They're playing for real.
And I took some time. I spent the season with Carolina Queens coaching. And I eventually moved back to Florida and I let it go. I started coaching track and I'm looking over on the football field and they playing football. And I'm looking at the track and I'm looking at the field and it just got to me. I ended up having a conversation with the guy that was the head coach at the time. And he said, well, why don't you just come call my offense? I'm getting close to retirement. See if you like it. If you do like it, I'll turn the program over to you next year. If you don't, no hard feelings. Well, here we are.
Absolutely. So like for you, like looking at what you've been doing in the girls game, what would you say is the thing that most people miss about when we talk about women playing football, especially in the flag game? What are people missing? Because I know in Florida, not only the competition, because every school has girls flag football, but the talent level that you're able to get out there on the flag football field. Can you just talk a little bit about what people miss when they don't have it for themselves and they can't see it?
The first thing is people seem to think that it's 7-on-7 football for girls. And flag football is not 7-on-7 football. It's actually a lot more intricate. There's a lot more working parts, even though it's 7 girls on the field. we're talking about people blocking, we're talking about running game, option game, a lot of things that are involved that you just can't do in boys 7-on-7. And you also have to consider the fact that a lot of these girls have never played football before. I actually was talking to my head football coach, and he's also our offensive coordinator, and he was talking about some conversations that he had where he was saying, well, you know, the coach at so-and-so was like, wow, you tag so much stuff on your plays. And I was like, you know, that's great, but I tag more than that with my girls. He's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, you know, I gave him a play call. He's like, well, what's your play? I was like, well, we're going to go trips right, 9-3-2, speed option right, C1. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, every girl knows her route. Just like I coach the boys, I coach the girls just as hard. I expect them to learn what they got to do. And, you know, when people really see it, they're like, wow, you know, we didn't realize these girls were learning that much. We just thought, you know, okay, it's cute. They get to run around and act like they're playing football. And then when they actually come out and watch it, they're like, oh, that girl just threw the ball 40 yards. Like, yeah. And that girl just caught it with one hand, broke 3 ankles, and raced to the end zone. I was like, yeah, these young ladies are athletes. You know, a lot of these girls are, you know, girls who could have been all-state track or, you know, all-state in another sport. And, you know, for the longest time, before the scholarships were available, you know, a lot of those girls were turning away. So I am super excited about the NAIA bringing scholarships to flag football.
And that's what I wanted to talk about, because you know, for me, for the longest time, I was on the fence, because I love the fact that these young ladies had an interest and they were really passionate about playing flag football, but I didn't see an end game for them. I felt like they were doing something that didn't net them any type of post-high school future. I thought that, you know, them deciding to play flag football instead of running track, or deciding to play flag football instead of playing softball, was more detrimental to their future at that time, because there was nothing else for them. So when you got the news that the NAIA was not only adding flag football, women's flag football, but it was going to be a legitimate intramural sport. I mean, not an intramural, but interscholastic sport. How did your girls react when they heard that?
So my girls that were class of 2020, pretty much you could see their eyes welling up with tears, because, you know, this class of 2020, I've been the only coach they've had. And they've, you know, for the 4 years that they played for me, it's coach is running us to death. He's beating the crap out of us. And we're doing this because we love to do this. And I worked them like these last 2 years, I worked them like I'd never worked a team before. And we were finally turning the corner. JV team was undefeated. Varsity team was 5-2. And they were like, wow, you know, this hard work is finally paying off. But when the season ends, it's over for us. So when I got that first email, we're adding flag football, I talked to my girls from 2020, and most of them, you know, they're locked into leases in other places. And, you know, they're like, man, I wish we knew about this a month later. When I sat down with the rest of the team to talk, it was on and popping. The excitement from the girls who were, now they're like, well, coach, we need to get to camps. You got to get us to camps, coach. You know, we need to go to combines. You know, we need to do campus visits. You know, we got options now. You know, it's not just, well, you go to Florida or Florida State and you join the club team. Now it's, well, I can find a school that has my major. And let's say maybe it's a school that my parents couldn't necessarily afford. I'll give you an example. I've got a girl who she's going to be a senior this year. Sweetest girl. She's got about 3.7 GPA. Doesn't have the highest SAT score, but GPA, and, you know, her last 2 report cards have been straight A's. She's only going to have 4 classes her senior year, so she's probably going to have a 4.0, you know, all the way through senior year. She might not be able to get into Florida. She might not be able to get into Florida State, but her grades are good. She's a great student. Now, when you throw in a scholarship from flag football, which is something that she already loves doing, now it's, I can go to Kansas Wesleyan because they've got my major, and now I can afford to go there. I don't have to go to this school or that school just because I can afford it. So I really think it's a game changer. You know, the girls won't be hearing, well, you should just run track because you can't get a scholarship playing flag football. which, to be honest, usually the coaches I heard that from were coaches that weren't actually getting their girls scholarships for their sport. It's like, well, next time somebody asks you that, ask them, if they've gotten any athlete scholarships or if any of their athletes are going on to the next level. And if that's something that's better for you, I'm not going to hold you back. You need to do what's best for you. Now I can do this playing flag. So it's really a game changer. I'm really excited.
And it's a beautiful thing for me because I'm all about options. And I like the fact that these young ladies have options. They have the opportunity to really, open up the horizons of what they're able to do. But the byproduct of that, what I'm really excited about, not only the expansion of the NAIA, because once these other programs see the quality young ladies that these first 15 schools are able to bring in, they're going to follow suit. And it's going to go from 15 to 45 to 100 in no time. But the byproduct of that is that now all of these tackle professional women's leagues that have been pulling girls or pulling women, from other sports like hockey and soccer and field hockey. They now get a chance to get this entirely new pool of young ladies who've been playing youth football, and they played high school flag football, and now they've played college flag football, and they're going to have so much, a much better understanding and appreciation of the game than what they may have had, 5, 10, 15 years ago as the women's game has been progressing till now. I'm really excited about it. I know that you're excited about it. I know that all of the girls in Florida, and if people don't understand how big of a game changer this is, if you're wondering about whether or not these NAIA teams are going to have enough girls to fill the team, just remember, the state of Florida, every single school has girls flag football. This is the entire state. Every single high school has girls flag football, and it is wildly popular. It is well received, and the girls flag football state championships many times are more exciting than the boys football championships because you really don't know who's going to win. Like on any given day, one team can beat another when you're talking about those elite level girls flag football teams. So I am extremely excited about that opportunity and can't wait to see what happens from there for all the young ladies involved. Coach, I'm gonna get you out of here on this. Just tell me, what do you think is going to be the first change you see in your participation in flag football now that these young ladies know that there's a nugget, a carrot at the end to be able to chase?
The first thing you're going to notice is it's probably going to be basketball and track athletes. A lot of girls who were, well, I do this because I have a chance at a scholarship, but they might not necessarily be a scholarship athlete at that sport, but they've got people in their ears telling them, well, I've seen how they work, and if you can't get anything out of it, why are you doing it? So the first thing you're going to see is more elite level athletes coming into the game. And when you talk about the quality of the young ladies that are coming in, I had 45 girls in my program last year. Only 3 of them had less than a 3.0. So you're talking about girls that are going to be academically qualified and elite level athletes. I had an all-state quarterback who her only goal in life outside of, becoming a physician was to play tackle football. So she played flag football as a means to an end. And she's going to UF in the fall, and she's going to play club flag there. But her goal is when she finishes medical school is to play women's tackle football. So I think in 4 or 5 years, you're going to see that sport take another jump forward when now you get the girls that have been playing football for 6, 8 years now in a position to go play tackle football at the next level.
And that's awesome, Coach. I really do appreciate you joining us. Coach Carey McCray, don't worry, we're going to catch up soon. Coach McCray, we'll talk some more on the men's game side as we hopefully get an opportunity to see what's going on. I really do appreciate you jumping on with us for a few minutes. Congratulations are in order for you and your girls again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, my brother. I'm looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely. And thank you once again to Coach McCray joining us. I want to make sure that I get this right because, man, this next guest that I have, she does everything. When I tell you that she's involved with everything on, from the standpoint of women's football, there is not too much that she hasn't been involved with. And I'm really happy that she was able to jump in. We had been kind of missing each other. And so I'm happy to have join me right now Dana Sparling. She's the Chief Operating Officer of the Women's Gridiron Foundation. She's been in that position since 2015. She was the New York Sharks management team from 2002 to 2018. And anything that's going on with the women's game and the women's tackle game, women's flag football, girls flag football in the New York area, you can find her involved with, and I am so happy to have her join us right now. Dana, really, thank you for joining us.
Aw, well, thank you for having me. Hold on, let me start my video. You want my video on?
Absolutely. There you go. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you, Gene?
I'm doing well. I'm glad we were able to connect. First things first, the NAIA decision, the NAIA and the NFL's decision to bring women's flag football to a collegiate level at a competition championship level. How big is that for not only women as far as young ladies having another sport that they can look at and achieve, but also for the growth of the women's tackle football game?
Well, it's a major announcement, a major move. It's something that, as I understand it, it's the time frame on it to start is about 3 years. Is that correct? Do I have my facts correct?
Well,
I want to see how it goes, and then sort of reevaluation period. Let me rephrase
Absolutely.
The evaluation period is about 3 years. So we certainly want to take advantage of this. There's so many girls playing flag football in the high school level and even younger around the country. So this gives them a way to mobilize, showcase the sport, the best talent in the sport. There are some talented flag football players out there. And I'm sure you know as well as I do, some of those states they tend to hail from. Texas, we've got the girls in Staten Island. You've got lots of flag girls playing in Florida. So this is major. And it's something that if it goes well, it's something that can be sustained because it's being supported at a collegiate level, at an institutional level. It's not fun and games. It's not pickup football. It's the real deal. So this is a really exciting opportunity for our young girls. So I'm very excited about it.
I'm really excited about the ripple effect. The state of Florida is fully integrated when it comes to girls flag football. Every high school down there has girls flag football. It's huge. I was just talking with Coach Carey McCray from Leonard, and he's the head girls flag football down there at Leonard High School. And we lament about the fact that sometimes the girls flag football state championships are more entertaining than even the boys football championships are, because the competition level is so even that you really can see anybody win at any given time.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm excited about is that 5 of the 15 programs, I believe 5 or 6 of the 15 programs that are initially involved in the NAIA's exploration of women's flag football, they reside in Florida. So those teams are going to be really competitive immediately because they're going to get young ladies who are used to playing flag football. They don't have to go far from home. They can take advantage of in-state scholarships and then be allotted the monies that their male counterparts are in order to play the game. What I'm interested in is the 3 years and 4 years and 5 years down the road where all of these young ladies who are playing flag football now get an opportunity to turn to tackle football. And instead of you getting the soccer convert or the field hockey convert or the hockey convert or the whatever, you're getting girls who are used to playing football. I can already see how the level of just the passing game is going to be able to flourish because you're not teaching young ladies how to play football anymore. You're teaching them the physicality of the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's part two of my excitement, which I was saving. So that was a great segue into it because it's going to create a feeder system for all of these women's tackle teams and an opportunity for these girls to continue to play if they choose to play tackle. I mean, tackle's not for everyone. It's different from flag. So, but most of the women who I think our team, when we had the Sharks, just like every other team, you have some new rookies and they try it out and they say, this is not for me. But most of them love it. So yeah, it's exciting for women's tackle football as well, for sure.
Now the last on July 1st, the 30 for 30 for that was on the Boston
Renegades.
The Boston Renegades, excuse me. My apology, Boston Renegades. Don't shout me out. I love you ladies. You ladies are awesome. Born to Play, to see a documentary that is able to stand alone at a time where there's no other real sports in the United States going on, outside of, funny enough, women's soccer right now and men's soccer that's starting to jump back up. But to have all of the eyes of the athletics world on women's tackle football, how big is that for the sport as we continue to, go to a level where we want to put these leagues at an eye level that's prominent for just the novice sports fan to enjoy?
Yeah. This was enormous, and an even larger spotlight was put on it because of COVID. Mm-hmm. No live sports on television. It's minimal. So this time slot that on ESPN at prime time at 9:00 at night for 2 hours was huge because we know that everyone who loves sports is looking for something, to watch that's sports related. And I think this exposure, it will be, I don't know if we'll ever be able to, and I'm sure Boston will keep track of it, but gosh, I'd love to somehow measure what this is going to do for our sport because this aired at the time that it did in prime time when people are craving sports. It was so well done. I've been around women's football for 20 years. They picked wonderful people to represent not only the Boston Renegades, but the sport of women's tackle football. I got chill. I'm getting chills right now thinking about it because, just like on every team, you have all different kinds of people. Some people are the better representatives of a sport or of a team. They're all our teammates and we love them all, but the people they chose to represent not only the diversity of the sport, but the character, the professionalism, the talent, it was just, they nailed it on the head. They really did. And all of women's football, between Allison Cahill and I call her Squirrel because Shantae Bonds used to play for the Sharks for a long time. So a lot of these players, they switch teams sometimes. So for various reasons, but it was heartwarming to see, people we knew being spotlighted for the wonderful people that they are both on and off the field. And it was such a good look for our sport. I mean, Boston is a top-notch team, a top-notch full of top-notch professionals. They run their organization like a well-oiled machine, and there's a reason that they've been repeat national champions. You have to respect that. So lots of rivalries, even the Sharks rivalries with Boston go back many, many years, but all of the Sharks and former Sharks and the current New York Wolves, which is the team in New York that replaced the Sharks, it was bravo in the women's football world for the way Boston represented our sport. It was great. So
absolutely. And the old adage of any publicity is good publicity, but when you get good publicity, it's that much better. I mean, I was really impressed by the documentary. I've been intimately involved, in supporting and writing about and talking about the women's game. I know many of many young ladies who play the sport and have loved the sport forever. I know young ladies who played tackle football in high school, and they were, it's weird because they were ostracized almost at that time when they were playing, because there's a stigma that came with it. But I think what the documentary did a great job of, almost similar to when you look at the backgrounds of like Miss America and how people used to look at the women involved in Miss America as just beauty symbols or sex symbols. And then you find out there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's accountants, there's business women. Similar to what happens in with cheerleading, professional cheerleading, and you find out how accomplished a lot of those professional cheerleaders are. Now you see that not only are they doing what those ladies are doing, but they're playing a sport that is legitimately violent and one where you have to really be able to hold your own and be doing it for a level of love, because you're not getting rich, right now off playing the sport. And so it was very, very awesome to see great personalities. I love how they tied everything in together and really looked at it, especially, in today's advent of the docu series, where, especially in football, where you get a chance to kind of see behind the curtain. It was really well done. And I know that so many people were excited about it across the country, because there's so much. There's so many leagues and so many teams that no one even knew existed, that now they have an understanding of how big this sport is around the country.
Yep. I couldn't have said it any better. Yep.
I appreciate it. Here's one of the things for me, because I always say, well, how do you take advantage of the momentum? Obviously, it's difficult right now because of COVID. I know that you had the transatlantic tournament, right? Transatlantic Trophy tournament. This was going to be number 2 this year, and that was canceled or postponed. Excuse me, I don't want to say canceled. Yep. It was postponed until next year because of everything that's going on right now. Yep. But how do you keep the word out? How do you not allow things to just fall into the back or the recesses of people's minds until we start to get an opportunity to see the women's game again up front?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure how to answer that. That's a longer conversation. But what I will answer it with is that I know that women's football has sustained itself for 20 years with little reliance on outside sources. We have scraped and scrapped and fought for every moment on the field, every coach we've tried to get, every dollar we've needed to earn to play this sport. And so we're used to we've sustained ourselves out of sheer will and passion for the sport. I don't care what team you go to. Every team has had to fight. Nothing's handed to us. We have to work to play football, literally. And as you're well aware, most of the teams you have to pay some portion to play to cover the season's operating expenses. So, we're not going anywhere. Maintaining, I can't, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we're just going to keep doing our thing. I think at some point, I mean, I'm an old sort of, I've been around this a long time, and another, at least a generation and a half has gone by since I've been involved. So I'm very realistic about what I expect to happen with our sport. And it's baby steps. It's always baby steps. The NAIA decision is huge for several reasons and on several levels. I know that the women's tackle game is not going to go anywhere because we want to play, and we help each other out. If a new team pops up, they have places they can go and say, how did you do this? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So we share ideas with one another. We really are a family. We really try to support one another. So as far as keeping the public interested, I think that's probably a local market question. It has to do with how deeply connected each individual team is within its own market, whether it's a small market, a little town, or it's New York, or it's, Tampa, or it's, Washington, D.C. And these teams work hard to put their names out there, and keep that consistent message. Don't forget we're here, I mean, and I'm friends with a lot of these team owners and managers, and they work so hard, and they play, and they have day jobs. So we joke that those of us who are in management with football, with women's football, is we went, did you sleep last night? Did you sleep at all this week? Because we just keep going, and but it's because we love it. And we've watched it change the lives for the better for so many women that have come in and out of our doors, that it's about football, but it's about so much more than football. And that right there is why I will stay involved with this sport until I go pause up. So I love it. I love it.
Awesome. And I really do appreciate you joining me. I know we were able to slip it in, so it was good. We were able to make it work. I'm looking forward to seeing the ladies back on the field. Definitely looking forward to next year's transatlantic trophy. I heard that the first one was epic. I was really hoping that I got a chance to see the second installment this year, but I will definitely be there next year.
Yeah, I'd love it if you came up, and I'd love to talk to you about that at some point. I'm kind of waiting to see how COVID plays out before I make any commitments, but I do have the field secured as of right now. Just switch the dates to next year. And then I'm just going to wait on everything else until we just see how this all plays out. So absolutely.
I think that, hopefully if everything starts to return to normal at some point in near future, that I look forward to the women's game getting fired back up. Women, new budding stars sprout up every year. I think that's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, because I think it's a no-lose situation for the NAIA. They have something that they've trumped the NCAA on, and NCAA doesn't like to be trumped. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to be their reaction, because you're going to get a lot of young ladies that want to play college flag football. There won't be a problem filling those 15 teams, I guarantee you. And so when that number goes from 15 to 30 to 45, where now they're in the realm of full championship level, like I just see things exploding, really quickly for them. And I really look forward to it, because I've always been on the fence about flag football, because I felt like I wanted our young ladies to have something to reach towards at the collegiate game. And so many of them didn't, that they were passing up opportunities to be track athletes or softball athletes to play flag football. And I wasn't mad at them. I was just like, man, I wish there was something. And now there's something, and people think that the participation level was high already. Now, when you see that you actually have something to go after, that participation level is going to go through the roof. And it's just going to be a great thing for the women's game. So I'm really excited. Really excited to see what happens. Can't wait to watch a collegiate women's flag football game. And definitely happy that you joined me. Dana Starling, the COO of the Women's Gridiron Foundation. She has like 15 to 16 other titles as well. We'll just say that she never stops working.
Life's simpler now, but I did, yeah.
She never stops working. If you wonder what she's doing in her day, she's doing some work. Again, Dana, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad it worked out, Gene. Thank you so much. And I hope to speak with you again about the tournament as it draws near.
Absolutely. We will definitely do it again.
Okay. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dana Sparling. Once again, happy that she was able to join us. And man, you see the passion and the love that these young ladies have for the game. It's amazing to me how it hasn't been able to catch on more before now, but it's here now and it's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the time we're going to have for the Offensive Interference webcast. I really do appreciate you joining me. I'm Coach Gene Clemons. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe it. Pass it on to your friends. We love to have you every Monday. And until next Monday, y'all be safe and love each other.